Now, the Prime Minister, after the successful Quad summit and the bilaterals he held with the Quad partners, is all set to address the Indian diaspora, following which he will also be attending the UNGA session. Let's quickly run you through these graphics, which has details of the key takeaways of that Quad summit. The first being united stand on China and North Korea. So, very stern warning that was sent by the Quad leaders to both North Korea and China. To China for its aggression in the Indo-Pacific region, specifically the South China Sea, and to North Korea for its nuclear tests and ballistic missile launches. In fact, in continuation to that, note that it is going to be the first ever joint Coast Guard patrolling mission that will be launched starting next year, which is in 2025. This to counter the military actions by China in the Indo-Pacific region. So it is going to be for the very first time that joint patrolling will take place, in which the Coast Guards of India, Australia, Japan will be on board with the US Coast Guards in their vessel. In fact, the other highlight also being the United Nations Security Council reform pitch. That being said, India has time and again called for reforms of the United Nations Security Council, and it's now in a big takeaway with both all the leaders rather of Quad agreeing unanimously that there is a need for United Nations Security Council reforms and that permanent seat pitched by India in the United Nations Security Council. The other highlight being India receiving that praise for role in Quad. In fact, note that India was supposed to host Quad this year, but it was that special request that was made by the US, after which the latter hosted the Quad summit. But that being said, all the Quad leaders, be it the Japan Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, Albanese and President Biden, hailed India's role when it comes to securing the Indo-Pacific region, and Biden also adding that India is leading the way forward when it comes to the goals of the Quad as well. In fact, not just that, the other highlight also being India pledging $7.5 million to fight cervical cancer. This is, of course, the brainchild of President Biden. It was an initiative that was launched in 2015 to combat cervical cases, cancer cases in 2015. And that being said, Prime Minister Modi announcing that $7.5 million will be given as grant to aid in not just the vaccinations, but even in research to help tackle cases of cervical cancer. Before we get you more details of what this moonshot cancer project is, listen in to what the leaders had to say after the successful Quad and the bilaterals that were held in Delaware.
मुझे खुशी है कि क्वाड में हमने सर्वाइकल कैंसर जैसे चैलेंज का मिलकर सामना करने का निर्णय लिया है. इन कैंसर केयर collaboration is essential for cure. कैंसर का बर्डन कम करने के लिए प्रिवेंशन, स्क्रीनिंग, डायग्नोसिस और ट्रीटमेंट की इंटीग्रेटेड अप्रोच जरूरी है. भारत में मास स्केल पर बहुत ही कॉस्ट इफेक्टिव सर्वाइकल कैंसर स्क्रीनिंग प्रोग्राम चल रहा है. साथ ही भारत दुनिया की सबसे बड़ी हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस स्कीम चला रहा है और सबको अफोर्डेबल कॉस्ट पर दवाइयां उपलब्ध कराने के लिए स्पेशल सेंटर्स भी बनाए गए हैं. भारत ने सर्वाइकल कैंसर के लिए अपनी वैक्सीन भी बनाई है और एआई की मदद से नए ट्रीटमेंट प्रोटोकॉल भी शुरू किए जा रहे हैं. एक्सेलेंसी, भारत अपना एक्सपीरियंस और एक्सपर्टाइज शेयर करने के लिए तैयार है. आज कैंसर केयर में काम करने वाले भारत के कई एक्सपर्ट्स इस इवेंट्स में हमारे साथ जुड़े हैं. भारत का विजन है वन अर्थ वन हेल्थ. इसी भावना से मैं क्वाड मूनशॉट इनिशिएटिव के तहत $7.5 मिलियन के सैपलिंग किट्स डिटेक्शन किट्स और वैक्सीन का सहयोग देने की घोषणा करता हूं।
In fact, let's also tell you that cervical cancer is the fourth most common cancer among women across the globe, and more than 1 lakh lives have been lost in 2022 itself as a result of cervical cancer. Let's give you a better understanding of this initiative, which is a brainchild of President Biden. It was in 2015 that Biden inaugurated the project during Obama presidency. In fact, also to add here that Biden lost his son to brain cancer, after which he's been working aggressively to tackle these cancer cases, specifically cervical cancer in the Indo-Pacific region. He's been, as we told you, vocal advocate of battling cancer since 2015. That is, since he lost his son to cancer, with an aim to increase cancer research by enhanced collaboration. So that's also one of the main agendas of the Quad, to tackle the cervical cancer cases by ensuring that there are enough grants that are being provided by all four partners that would aid in not just the vaccinations, but even in research and in upskilling the healthcare workers in the Indo-Pacific region. It would involve screening, vaccines and treatment for cervical cancer. So it encapsulates all these aspects, from screening to radiotherapy to providing those vaccines. It's said that the cervical cancer can be cured in initial stages if vaccination is done at the earliest. Also note that the central government had emphasized clearly in the union budget as well as far as cervical cancer is concerned, saying that the center will be ensuring that there is vaccination given to women aged 19 to 14 years. And that being said, it's the Quad that's working together to ensure that enough is done to combat cervical cancer. It's supported by funding from all four Quad partners. So yes, there's been aggressive funding by all the Quad partners, be it US, Japan, Australia and India, of course, the latter having now pledged $7.5 million to tackle the cancer cases. In fact, India held the first cancer moonshot dialogue with US this year itself in the month of August. So yes, India has been working closely with the US to help in every possible way to bring down the cancer cases. And as we told you, Prime Minister Modi having pledged 40 million vaccines. So other than that $7.5 million, it's also the vaccine doses. Prime Minister having pledged 40 million vaccines for the Indo-Pacific region. In fact, let's now tell you more about what is next for Prime Minister Modi in New York, where he will be attending the diaspora event. And while Prime Minister is all set to address